Guys, have you ever asked yourself, is this what God wants for me? Has anybody ever asked you that? Like, I don't know if this is where God wants me. I want to answer that question from my own perspective, which obviously I'm not God, but I hope I can add some value to you. It comes down to two core beliefs. One, do you believe that everything happens because of an accident, right? Everything's an accident. We're an accident, life's an accident, everything's an accident. No, nothing against that. I'm not putting that down. That could be a real belief. Number two, do you believe that everything happens because there's a reason for it? Now, I'll give you my belief on that. I choose to believe, for two reasons, that everything happens on purpose, that there is a purpose, there is a reason why this is happening. The reason that I believe that, one, I do believe in God, and I believe that if you're a good person, that you love God, you serve God, you love people, you do the right thing, you have integrity, you work hard, you give your very best, you improve. I believe in those characteristics, that God wants to bless people like that. And so I believe if you're doing the right thing, that God's going to bless your path. Okay, so that's my actual spiritual belief. Now, the practical belief behind that, I want to believe that there is a purpose to life, that life is taking me, that God is taking me somewhere. And because I believe that there's a purpose, that there's something that I'm supposed to learn from this experience, there's something I'm supposed to get from this experience, there's a reason that this happened, it's supposed to teach me something. And so when you have that belief system versus the other belief system is everything's an accident, well, then you really don't have any control or direction. There is no guide. There is nothing that's supposed to come from this situation. It's just a negative situation. It's just a random situation. I don't want to live my life with that belief system. So you could say, George, you're lying to yourself and you're creating a belief system that you feel serves you. I do, and I am. None of us truly can prove to you, right, whether there is a God or there isn't a God. For me, there's a spiritual part of how I've lived my life and what I believe that I've seen God work in my life, and I still have my own doubts. I'm not a perfect believer, but I choose to believe that there is a God. And I remember this pastor saying, I'd rather live my life like there is a God, find out that there isn't, than live my life like there's not a God and find out that there is, right? Why? What do you lose by believing that there's a God? And I had this conversation with a friend of mine, brother-in-law of mine. I love you, Jay. And he says, you know what? I think a lot of people, because they believe that there is a God, that they think God's going to do that for them, and they don't put that pressure onto themselves. And I said, I could see how a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people say, well, God's going to take care of it for me. And that's that whole verse in the Bible that says faith without works is dead, right? I think God gives us the ability. I think the story of the talents where, hey, here's your talent, but if you don't do anything with it, then it's worse than the person that didn't have a talent. It's worse than a non-believer, right? And so I believe that we have certain gifts and talents that we're supposed to do something with. I think that there's a purpose for you being created. Even from a scientific level, for everything to happen, for you to exist, there had to be some kind of energy that was needed at that time. I think you're born into a culture at a moment where you're needed, your spirit is needed. I also think you're the most blessed person if you're alive on earth and you're getting a chance to watch this because we live in the best time in human history. I think we're supposed to be the example for the world. And I think people are looking for that. So this girl asked me that question and I said, so those are my answer based on a belief system. Now the other part, if you're in an environment where it's positive, where you're around good people, where you're around people that care about you, where you're around people that are modeling good personal values, where you're in an environment that you're being stretched, you're in an environment that's challenging you in a positive way, you're in an environment where you're personally developing, you're in an environment where you're encouraged, you're in an environment where you're pushed, you're in an environment that's getting you outside your comfort zone. I believe that's a healthy environment for you. And if you believe in that there's a reason that things happen, right? If you believe that, and then on top of that, you assess the environment and you realize that it is beneficial for you, then I think you have the answer to your question as much as you could have an answer to that question. So I want to share my belief system. I could be completely wrong for what you believe, but it's what I believe, and it's served me, and I think it could add value to people. That's why I wanted to record this, because I think a lot of people are asking themselves that question today. Is this what God wants from me? Is this where I'm supposed to be? And I want to give you a framework that maybe can help you assess that decision. Take care, guys.